The sky above the war-torn planet of Zoran 6 burned a deep, angry red. Smoke rose in thick columns from shattered cities, the remnants of what had once been vibrant alien settlements. Human forces had been deployed here months ago, sent to quell a conflict that had spread across the sector. Lieutenant Adrian Cole had seen his fair share of battles, but Zoran 6 had a cruelty all its own. Adrian crouched behind a jagged rock outcrop, scanning the horizon through his scope. His squad, only 4 strong now, moved cautiously across the barren field. The enemy, the Zareth, were known for their speed, precision, and ruthless efficiency. They weren't just soldiers. They were hunters genetically engineered for war. Humans were often just another obstacle in their path. "Adrian, the sensors are picking up movement," called Sergeant Miller, his voice tight. "Could be a patrol." Adrian nodded. "Stay low. Don't engage unless necessary." He adjusted his grip on the plasma rifle, eyes narrowing as he tried to distinguish shadows in the fiery landscape. Suddenly, a distant scream cut through the air, a sound that didn't belong to the battlefield. It was high-pitched, terrified, almost childlike. Adrian froze. "That's not human," Miller muttered. Adrian didn't answer immediately. He scanned the area, heart thudding in a strange rhythm. There, through the smoke, he saw it. A small, fragile figure limping across the debris, clearly injured. Its skin shimmered faintly in greenish blue, and its large eyes were wide with fear. The creature looked no older than a human child. Without thinking, Adrian darted forward. "Cover me!" he shouted, sprinting toward the child despite Miller's protests. The squad hesitated, torn between duty and safety. But Adrian didn't wait. He dove toward the figure, dodging falling debris and stray plasma fire from distant skirmishes. The child stumbled and fell, whimpering in pain. Adrian reached it just in time, scooping it up into his arms. The small body was light, almost fragile, trembling with fear. Adrian felt an unexpected surge of protectiveness. "It's okay. I've got you," he whispered softly. He scanned the surroundings. The battlefield was far from safe, and yet he could not leave the child behind. "Lieutenant."
"This is insane!"
Miller shouted. "We can't carry it and fight." "I don't care," Adrian snapped, moving toward cover. "I'm not leaving it here." The squad reluctantly followed, covering him as he carried the child to a temporary ridge. There they could see the chaos of the battlefield more clearly. Zareth drones patrolled below, searching for survivors or intruders. Adrian examined the child briefly. Its small body was covered in shallow burns, and one of its limbs was badly twisted. Its breathing was rapid and shallow. He had no medical kit suitable for alien physiology, but he wrapped it gently in his jacket, trying to stabilize it. "Lieutenant, what are you thinking?" Miller asked quietly. "I'm thinking this child deserves a chance," Adrian said firmly. "We're soldiers, yes, but we're not monsters. I can't leave it to die here." Miller shook his head but stayed silent. He knew better than to argue when Adrian made up his mind. Hours passed as the squad moved carefully across the ruined cityscape. Every step was dangerous. Plasma fire occasionally streaked across the sky, and the ground shook from distant explosions. Adrian carried the child the entire way, talking to it softly, trying to calm it. Surprisingly, the child responded with small, tentative noises, almost like words, but Adrian didn't understand them. Yet there was intelligence there, awareness, a flicker of recognition. As night fell, the temperature dropped sharply. The child shivered violently. Adrian dug into his pack and wrapped it in additional thermal blankets. "You're safe now," he murmured. "We'll get you somewhere warm." Suddenly, a shadow moved in the distance. Adrian froze, motioning for the squad to halt. From the smoke emerged a figure taller than any human, with sleek armor that shimmered under the red sky. Its eyes glowed faintly as it scanned the area. The Zareth had found them. "Keep low," Adrian hissed. He pressed himself and the child against the rock, heart pounding. The Zareth soldier advanced methodically, scanning every crevice. It paused briefly, its glowing eyes sweeping over Adrian and the child. Adrian could feel its suspicion, the sharp, intelligent gaze that seemed to pierce through him. Then, unexpectedly, the Zareth turned and vanished into the shadows. Adrian exhaled sharply. "That was too close," he muttered. Miller slapped him on the shoulder. "Too close doesn't even begin to cover it, Lieutenant." By the time they reached a secluded human outpost hours later, Adrian was exhausted, but he refused to put the child down. The medical team at the outpost was skeptical at first. "Lieutenant, this is a dangerous alien. We don't know its biology, don't touch it." One medic warned. Adrian glared at him. "I'm not just protecting it from you, I'm protecting it from everyone who wants to harm it. If it dies here, it dies because we didn't care." The medic hesitated but finally nodded and moved closer, carefully beginning to examine the child under Adrian's watchful eye. Adrian stayed beside the small creature, speaking softly. "You're safe here," he said. "I won't let anything happen to you." Late that night, as the outpost settled into uneasy quiet, Adrian sat beside the child who had finally fallen asleep. Its breathing was steadier and it occasionally stirred, as if sensing his presence. Adrian looked at it and felt an unfamiliar emotion, something between duty, compassion, and something like hope. Outside, in the darkness beyond the outpost, another figure moved silently across the ruins. Lyra, the child's mother and a Zareth commander, had tracked them. Her anger burned hotter than the fires of Zoran 6 itself. She had lost track of her child amidst the chaos, only to find that it was in the hands of a human, a species she had been taught to despise. "This human," she whispered to herself, eyes narrowing, "he will pay." But even as she watched, she could see that the child was alive, uninjured. Her rage clashed with a flicker of disbelief. Humans were supposed to be brutal. They were supposed to kill without mercy. Yet, here was one carrying her child through fire and death, protecting it as if it were his own. Adrian had no way of knowing that he was being watched. He merely stayed by the child's side, murmuring softly, feeling a strange connection that crossed the boundaries of species and war. He didn't know if he was saving a life or starting a chain of events that would change the course of human and Zareth relations forever. The night deepened. Stars flickered above the red sky, tiny lights in a universe torn by conflict. Adrian closed his eyes for a brief moment, exhausted yet determined. Tomorrow the battlefield would call again. But for tonight he had kept a promise, not to a commander, not to a country, but to a fragile, terrified life in his arms. Somewhere in the shadows, Lyra's eyes never left him. And somewhere in Adrian's heart he knew that protecting this child was only the beginning. The first light of dawn crept over the jagged horizon of Zoran 6, casting long shadows across the ruined human outpost. The fires of yesterday's battle still smoldered, sending thin ribbons of smoke into the reddish sky. Lieutenant Adrian Cole sat quietly in the medical bay, watching over the small alien child Kai, who slept soundly under a thermal blanket. Kai's alien features were delicate and strange to human eyes, smooth greenish-blue skin, large round eyes that seemed far too expressive and tiny, trembling limbs that still bore the marks of yesterday's injuries. Despite the chaos of war, despite being a child of the enemy, Adrian felt a deep sense of responsibility. "Lieutenant," Sergeant Miller said, breaking the silence, "you really think this is a good idea? We're risking a lot keeping it here. What if the Zareth come back in force?" Adrian didn't take his eyes off Kai. "I don't care about risk right now. This child didn't ask for this war. If we don't protect it, who will?" Miller shook his head. Humans had seen many acts of bravery in war, but Adrian's determination to protect an enemy child bordered on reckless. Yet even Miller had to admit there was a nobility in it, a human instinct to protect life, even when it belonged to a sworn enemy. The medical team moved cautiously, examining Kai. Its vital signs were stable, but its limb needed careful treatment. One of the medics, Lieutenant Reyna, spoke in soft tones. "I've never treated an alien child before. Its anatomy is so different. We have to be careful." Adrian nodded. "I'll stay with it. Let me help however I can." He carefully assisted the medic, observing and learning how to apply the alien splints and bandages. Every movement, every careful touch strengthened a silent bond between Adrian and Kai. Days passed. Adrian rarely left Kai's side. He fed it carefully, learning which nutrients from human rations it could tolerate and which it could not. He spoke to it in soothing tones even though he did not understand its language. Miraculously, Kai began responding, cooing softly, reaching out for Adrian's hand. "Look at that," Miller muttered one morning. "The kid actually trusts him." Adrian smiled faintly. "It's not trust. It's instinct. Even enemies can see the difference between someone who will hurt them and someone who won't." As the day stretched on, the outpost itself became tense. Human soldiers whispered about the alien child under Cole's protection. Some were skeptical, fearing that keeping Kai was dangerous, even foolish. But others, quietly observing, began to respect Adrian's unwavering compassion. There was something undeniably human about risking everything to protect a fragile life, even when it belonged to the enemy. Then, without warning, the tension in the air thickened. Sensors on the edge of the outpost picked up movement, fast, precise, and unmistakably alien. Adrian stiffened. He recognized the patrol patterns of the Zareth, but these movements were different, calculated, searching. "They're coming," he said quietly. "Someone's looking for Kai." Sergeant Miller gritted his teeth. "Should we prepare for a fight?" Adrian shook his head. "No, we hide him first. Then we see who it is." He carefully moved Kai into a small maintenance tunnel that ran beneath the outpost. The child's large eyes looked up at him, frightened. Adrian knelt, speaking softly. "Stay quiet. Nothing is going to hurt you." Kai blinked, then rested its tiny head against Adrian's chest, trembling but trusting him completely. Moments later, a figure appeared at the edge of the outpost. Adrian's breath caught in his throat. Lyra, the alien mother, commander of a Zareth unit, beautiful and terrifying all at once. Her armor glimmered under the red light of Zoran 6, her eyes glowing faintly as she scanned the area. She moved with the precision and elegance of a predator. Every step calculated. Adrian stepped out from the shadows, shielding Kai. "I won't let you harm him," he said firmly. Lyra's eyes narrowed and a low hiss escaped her throat. "This is my child," she said, her voice sharp but trembling with emotion. "Give him back, human." Adrian's jaw tightened. "He's safe here. I can't just hand him over. Not when I don't know if you'll protect him from the war." Lyra's hands twitched toward the controls of a weapon on her armor, but she paused. Something about Adrian stopped her, something she did not expect from a human. His stance was confident yet calm. His eyes did not waver. There was a determination in him that defied her understanding. You would protect a Zareth child?" she asked, disbelief lacing her tone. Adrian nodded. "Yes, because it's the right thing to do." Lyra's chest heaved as she considered his words. She had been trained to see humans as cruel, violent, and selfish. Yet here was one standing before her, risking his life for her child. The idea was unsettling. For hours, they stood in tense silence, studying each other. Adrian's respect for the mother and her strength grew, even as he prepared for any sudden attack. Kai, sensing the tension, clutched Adrian's arm tightly, its small body trembling but safe. Finally, Lyra lowered her hands. "You have strength, human. More than I expected. And yet I cannot take my child without knowing he is safe. I will return when the time is right." With that, she vanished into the shadows, leaving the humans in uneasy relief. In the days that followed, Adrian continued caring for Kai, teaching it small human gestures, how to feed itself, how to communicate with basic signs, and how to navigate the outpost safely. Kai responded quickly, learning faster than Adrian had imagined. Its alien intelligence was remarkable, but its trust in him was what struck Adrian most. Even as he worked, Adrian felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. Protecting a child of the enemy was dangerous. Zareth forces could strike at any moment, and humans in his own ranks might not understand. Yet he knew he could not abandon Kai. Not after seeing those frightened eyes, not after holding him through fire and smoke. Then came a day that changed everything. Adrian was training Kai to walk short distances without assistance when a loud alarm blared through the outpost. Sensors had detected multiple Zareth ships approaching at high speed. "Get inside now," Adrian shouted. He grabbed Kai and ran to the command center, where the other soldiers were preparing for a potential attack. Lyra's ships did not open fire immediately. Instead, they hovered, scanning the area, their intent unclear. Adrian watched the sky, heart pounding. He realized that Lyra had returned, not to fight but to observe. Minutes stretched into tense hours. Eventually, one of the ships landed, and Lyra herself stepped out. She approached Adrian cautiously, eyes never leaving Kai. "I see you have cared for him," she said, her voice softer now. "He is alive. He is safe, perhaps. You are not like the others." Adrian met her gaze evenly. "I am human, and humans protect life, even when it is not ours. I don't know your ways, but I do know that he deserves a chance to live." Lyra studied him, and for the first time a flicker of respect appeared in her eyes. You are different. I will not take him by force, not yet, but I will not leave either. My child will not be harmed while I am here. Adrian nodded, understanding the unspoken agreement. Neither of them could leave, yet neither would start a fight. For now. Over the following weeks, a fragile bond developed between them. Lyra observed Adrian caring for Kai, noting his patience, his intelligence, and his unwavering courage. She began to see humans not merely as enemies, but as beings capable of compassion and honor. Adrian, for his part, learned to understand small glimpses of Zareth culture through Kai. He observed how the child responded to certain gestures, sounds, and even patterns of light. He realized that despite their differences, the foundations of empathy and trust were universal. One evening, as the twin moons of Zoran 6 rose in the crimson sky, Adrian sat outside the outpost with Kai in his lap. Lyra stood a short distance away, her eyes quietly watching. Kai reached out, touching Adrian's face with small alien fingers, and cooed softly. Adrian smiled, stroking its hair. Lyra's eyes softened, and for a moment all the hostility and suspicion of war seemed to fade. Adrian spoke gently. We'll keep him safe no matter what comes, I promise. Lyra's lips pressed together, an expression of both admiration and unease. You are strong human. Strong in ways I did not expect, Adrian laughed softly. We humans surprise ourselves sometimes. The night was quiet, but the war was far from over. Yet in that moment, amidst the ruins and the chaos, a human and an alien mother both recognized something powerful, a bridge of trust, hope, and understanding, built through courage and care. Adrian didn't know how long this fragile peace would last. But he did know one thing. He would protect Kai, and in doing so, he would show the universe what humans were truly capable of.